To remind you that 60% of sales on Amazon come from independent sellers, here's John from Devil Dog Pet Company.
We run our family business from Sterling Heights, Michigan, but we can reach customers all over the country thanks to Amazon. Good boy.
Shop small business on Amazon.
Pick up in the pines, rust away with time when we're hiding from the light. Like a footprint in the frost. So goddamn lost, always running in the night.
Hi, how are ya? That was my best. I think his name is Rawshak. No, Horshack. I think. From Welcome Back, Kotter. I can Google it, but I don't want to right now. Welcome back to Don't Quote Me, It's Probably Nothing. Today is Tuesday, which means it's True Crime Tuesday. And do I have a doozy for you? I know I skipped Friday's episode, but fear not. I don't know why I said that. I was super duper busy on Friday. I literally had no time to do anything. So, unfortunately, I didn't do a Friday episode. But I'm hoping this counts as like a True Crime Tuesday and a Friday episode. Maybe. Probably not. But I think... not this Friday, or the next Friday, or like the Friday after that. But one of these Fridays, I'm going to do like a double episode. Maybe not on a Friday. Maybe like a True Crime Tuesday. I don't know. Maybe I'll release a True Crime Tuesday on a Friday. I don't know. Anyway, I'm back and I brought the chaos with me. And not just my chaos. No. Today, we are going to be talking about a man who has been known by many names. There's Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Brother Love, the guy who danced in every 90s music video, and allegedly a walking HR violation. So, the documentary dropped, okay? The one on Netflix, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, produced with the full petty energy of 50 Cent, which I am here for, absolutely. But like, it has had the internet in a chokehold ever since. It has like footage, interviews, timelines, patterns, and things that made me pause and just be like, what the fuck? So today we're going to do a True Crime Tuesday / deep dive into Diddy. So, allegedly for everything I'm about to say, that is public record. Allegedly. So before I talk lawsuits and raids and scandal, we'll do, I guess, like a quick refresher on who the hell we're talking about. So his name is Sean Combs. Obviously, I think we all know that. And he was born in 1969 in Harlem, and he was raised by a single mother after his father, who reportedly had ties to the underworld, according to public record, was murdered when Sean was 2. So, like, from the beginning, this man's life was, like, not a normal suburban story. Okay, so fast forward to college, because we're going to skip all of those years. Diddy's throwing parties at Howard University, so insane that people are still talking about them. He was student loan broke and ambition rich. But that ambition landed him at Uptown Records, where he becomes the guy behind the guy, literally and figuratively. I crack myself up. Developing talent, shaping artists, and making hits. Then he gets fired for being too difficult, I think is what they said. Which, based on everything that happens after, might be the understatement of the century. So what does he do? He starts Bad Boy Records. There's Biggie, Faith Evans, 112, Total, Mace. I loved Mace growing up. I had the biggest crush on him, for real. Okay, so I haven't told many people this, but I'm going to tell you, and this has nothing to do with Mace, but okay, so when I was younger, in school when we had the Scholastic Book Fair, I would always get so excited. I always wanted everything. So anyway, I bought this book and it had a whole bunch of celebrities in it. And one day my second grade self is in my bedroom reading it and I turn the page and there's a picture of Tiger Woods. And when I tell you I fell in love, like I literally thought that I was going to grow up and marry Tiger Woods. So imagine my disappointment when that did not happen. But also I'm kind of glad because I think did he turn out to be a little douchey? I think he's fine now. I think he may have redeemed himself, maybe. I think. But anyway, Mace was just So cute. But anyway, so Diddy revolutionizes hip-hop fashion, branding, videos, the whole shiny suit era, and he becomes a multimillionaire mogul with power, celebrity influence, and a reputation for being intense. So behind the scenes, people whispered that Diddy controlled everything, micromanaged everyone, and had an ego that required his own private jet, allegedly. But anyway, none of this compared to what the world would find out decades later. So I'm skipping some stuff, but let's jump to 1999. I was going to sing Crisscross Jump, but be grateful to your ear holes that I did not. Anyway, so Diddy, Jennifer Lopez, and rapper Shine are in a nightclub where a shooting breaks out. So Diddy gets charged with gun possession and bribery. Shine gets charged with attempted murder. At trial, Diddy walks free, and Shine goes to prison for almost 10 years. And Shine later says publicly that he felt that he took the fall, and for a lot of people, this was like the first time the public saw a pattern where like Diddy walks clean, someone else pays the price. But this is not like the last time that we would see that. So here's where things start to snowball. So over the years, Diddy has faced multiple civil suits. There's sexual harassment allegations, physical altercation allegations, employee abuse claims, producer royalty disputes, wrongful termination suits, assault allegations. Most of them were settled or dismissed, but when lawsuits from different decades have the same themes, people start side-eyeing. Still, nothing compares to what happened in November of 2023. So Cassie filed a lawsuit that was basically a 10-year horror movie in legal form. Her allegations included physical violence, forced encounters, trafficking across state lines, controlling her every move, manipulating her career, violent retaliation, all according to her lawsuit, all public record. So Diddy settled within 24 hours. And I feel like that's not normal. That's not like, hey, let's think about this. That is like, I'm shutting this down immediately. But once Cassie like cracked that dam there, everyone else followed. So like in the weeks and months after Cassie's settlement, more lawsuits appeared. There was a music producer claiming sexual assault, a woman alleging assault when she was a minor, trafficking accusations, hostile work environment allegations, multiple individuals describing the alleged freak-off parties, alleged forced participation, alleged drugging, alleged surveillance cameras, NDAs, every single one alleged claims public filings. But again, decades of different people telling disturbingly similar stories. Also, side note, if you hear my dog barking, I don't know what she's barking at, but she is barking. I will do my best to edit it out. But anyway, so March 2024, federal agents raid Diddy's home in Miami and Los Angeles. And this wasn't like a, hey, we're just checking the smoke detectors. This was Homeland Security, trafficking investigators, digital forensics teams, tactical vehicles, full-on extraction level operation. And agents reportedly seized hard drive surveillance footage, electronic devices, and documents. According to multiple federal sources, the raids were linked to allegations of trafficking. Again, alleged. But that was like the moment when the world said, oh, okay, like this is not gossip anymore. So this is the part the internet has been obsessed with. This is all speculation, all commentary, all public perception, allegedly. But people notice a pattern of artists falling out with him, people claiming mistreatment, strange tragedies or outcomes, associates distancing themselves. And I have a few examples. Okay, so first there's Biggie. It's an unsolved murder, shady industry politics, alleged tension near the end. Like, I don't know. I guess I'll say it. I think that Diddy had something to do with Biggie and Tupac's death. And the reason that I think that is, one, he is so shady. He is so disgusting for all of the shit that he did. Like, ugh, so gross. On top of like how he treated people and the fact that he thought that like money could just like buy him, well, I don't know, whatever the fuck he wanted. But I spent a lot of time, it's like a hobby of mine, I actually really enjoy it, in like finding out little tells about like when someone's lying, like facial expressions, like sudden changes. It could be so small. Like I do it to my kids a lot, like to see if they're lying. I'll ask them a question that I already know the answer to, that they don't know I know the answer to. And like, I'll study their face to see what they do, or like, you know, how their body language changes or something. And it's usually just something very, very, very small. Like their face might get red, or their eyes will widen like just a tiny, tiny bit to where like they probably think you don't notice it. But anyway, in the documentary, when they asked, like when they asked Diddy if he knew what happened to like Biggie or Tupac or however or whatever it was they asked him, you can like rewatch it again and look at his face. That is the face of a man who is lying. Okay? He did this thing with his eyes where like it wasn't like he didn't close them all the way, but his eyes did this thing. So like you have to go back and watch it. But anyway, there's that. And then there's Kim Porter. Like she died of pneumonia officially. And her ex, Al B, claimed that she was about to reveal something. And no evidence supports foul play, but her death is constantly referenced in conversations about Diddy's inner circle. And then there's Shine, who went to prison while he walked free. And then the Cassie allegations. And then Aubrey O'Day, she says Diddy ruined her career and manipulated artists. Usher lived with Diddy at 14, and Diddy made comments on camera that aged like sour milk. And then there's Justin Bieber. There was like an odd mentor dynamic that Bieber later distanced himself from, which I think there's stuff going on there too. But there's like their bodyguards and staff. There's multiple stories about NDAs, confiscated phones, intimidation, surveillance, again, alleged. Like, do these prove anything? No. Do they create a pattern that makes people uncomfortable? Absolutely. So 50 Cent's documentary, which can I just say his level of pettiness is like amazing, because I'm pretty sure it was him and Ja Rule have like something going on. And there was like one concert where he bought like the first however many rows to Ja Rule's concert so that like when Ja Rule came out, there was nobody, like you can see nobody for the first couple of rows, because usually when the lights come on, like you're blinded by the light. But anyway, I thought that was funny. And like, I'm loving these little clips on TikTok of like 50 Cent smiling. Like he just looks so proud of himself. Like, hell yeah. But anyway, his documentary, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, aired on December 2nd. And this is where like everything on the internet shifts into high gear. Okay. So 50 Cent, the patron saint of petty revenge, has been hinting at a documentary for months. And when it dropped, I think the internet did a collective scream. So the documentary includes never before seen footage, which I'm sure all of you have like seen it, but like, you know, just in case people out there are listening and haven't, I suggest you watch it. And also I'm going to tell you what it's about a little bit. So it includes never before seen footage, including alleged interior hotel room clips from September 2024, just days before Diddy's arrest, showing behavior described as controlling, erratic, and explosive. Everything shown is described in the film, not confirmed like by courts, obviously. There's also interviews with former associates, some speaking publicly for the first time, and claims include alleged coercion, alleged manipulation, alleged intimidation, alleged exploitation, alleged surveillance practices. And there's also interviews with victims. So some like echo patterns in like Cassie's lawsuit. So some of them describe like industry secrets, and like they really talked about like all of the shit that he was doing. And like, yeah, when I see the videos on TikTok of like the way he came out dancing, some of them are like Diddy dancing after Biggie paid for his own funeral or something like that. And like, they were just making me chuckle. But it has like a timeline of Diddy's rise, power, and downfall. And it is so organized. Like, it is so good. I love it. And then there's like some industry insiders, like Suge Knight was on there, and they're talking about like power dynamics and NDAs and how there's so many people who look the other way for decades. Also, what if Suge Knight was a red herring in Tupac's murder and Biggie's murder? Because I think he was a suspect for both of those. But like, there was no proof, obviously. And then on the documentary, he said like, even if he knew who did it, he still wouldn't be a rat, which Diddy has done enough shit. Like, if he did it, go be a rat, my guy. So after this release of this documentary, things got wild. So Diddy's legal team issues a public statement, and they called the documentary sensationalized, misleading, like full of inaccuracies. And they also claim that some footage was unauthorized or stolen. And Diddy's mother speaks out and called the doc exploitative and an attack on our family, which, if I remember correctly, okay, so there's this podcast called Rotten Mangoes, and she did such a like amazing job covering the Diddy trial and stuff like that, which hearing like mentioning his mom just made me think of this, how like at the trial. So like she was in the courtroom, so she would explain everything that she saw. And like Diddy even like turned to her and said something like, I know where you live or some shit like that. Anyway, she would talk about how like the one side would, like, you know how there's always sides in the courtroom, like the prosecutors sit on one side and the defense sits on the other. Well, like people were showing up to sit on like Biggie, or not Biggie's side, Puff Daddy's side. And I don't know why I just called him Puff Daddy. But anyway, they were sitting on his side. And then as like court continued, the people on his side just got like less and less. So I think it was like one person or something like that. Probably because they're all like, oh, okay. But anyway, according to multiple reports, people online are targeting Diddy's children, which the documentary producers did condemn. And then also, I think the latest thing I read last night was that like Diddy's son put out like a diss track to 50 Cent or something like that. And I don't recommend you listen to it. But anyway, multiple advocacy groups reported increased calls after the doc aired, which often happens with high-profile abuse allegations. And then half the internet is like, 50 Cent is the new FBI. And then the other half is like, this is shocking, but also not surprising. And people are demanding accountability. There's like petitions, obviously deep dive TikToks, memes. The whole internet is like dissecting every frame. And like, this is no longer a celebrity scandal. I feel like it's becoming like a cultural turning point. Because I remember when Diddy was like, well, when he was Puff Daddy, when he first came out, like he was huge. Like everybody, I was young, but like, I don't know. I liked all of his songs when I was younger. And like, I wanted a shiny suit. But anyway, but like, yeah, seeing all of the nasty, nasty things he's done over. Also, I'm sorry, my brain's all over the place right now. My son's personal trainer has been to a few Diddy parties. He is from that area, around the same age. And yeah, there were a few parties. I'll have to ask him if he has any stories and see if he'll tell me. I don't know if he will. I don't think he never went to like because like he never did like the freak off parties, I don't think. Actually, maybe he did. I don't know. I had asked him about it once before, and all he said was he's a freak and left it at that. He wouldn't really say anything else. But you know what? Now that I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask him if he has any stories and then see if he'll come on here and talk about it. I feel like I like skipped over so much information because like my brain, it really is all over the place right now. It's like, I know I'm talking to you and like holding a conversation and stuff like that, but inside my brain, it's like there's 50 million balls in there and they're just bouncing off the walls, going all crazy. That's what my brain feels like. But anyway, this episode would be incomplete, like criminally incomplete, if we didn't talk about the Biggie and Tupac timeline, because their murders are like the gravitational center of Diddy's like entire world. Everything pulls towards them and everyone's theories orbit around the same questions, because like Diddy didn't really become popular that much until after Biggie died. Right. Anyway, so let's go back to the mid-90s, a time of Timberlands or Tims. I don't know if I should call them Timberlands. I should probably say Tims for sure. Oversized jerseys. Pagers. The only pager I had was filled with gum. Awards drama, and two coasts ready to throw down like Game of Thrones. And at the center, Bad Boy Records versus Death Row Records. Sean Combs on one side, Suge Knight on the other, Biggie Smalls, Tupac, two artists whose deaths like still shake the culture because like, why are they unsolved? Okay. Anyway, so in 1994, Tupac was shot at Quad Studios in New York. So he believed, or at least said publicly, that he felt set up. And he heavily implied that Bad Boy, including Biggie and Diddy, knew something. Diddy and Biggie always denied this. I think that Biggie probably had no idea. Diddy absolutely had a clue because he did it. Anyway, but this moment is where the tension turned into a feud. So then came the diss tracks, interviews, magazine covers, Source Award speeches, a whole like cultural divide. And then Tupac signs with Death Row Records while in prison. Suge Knight happily fans the flames. And Biggie drops Life After Death with Subliminals. Tupac drops Hit 'Em Up, arguably the most disrespectful diss track known to mankind. And the beef was no longer personal. It was business and branding and war. On September 7th, 1996, in Las Vegas, after the Mike Tyson fight, Tupac is shot multiple times in a drive-by, and he ended up dying 6 days later, and no one has ever been convicted in his murder. Public theories include gang retaliation, personal disputes, death row internal politics, government involvement, Suge Knight himself, bad boy affiliation, Orlando Anderson, and like dozens more. None of them proven. But here's the important part for today's episode. Tupac's murder intensified pressure and suspicion and paranoia, and Bad Boy found itself in the crosshairs emotionally and publicly, even though no evidence tied them to it. And then 6 months later, on March 9th, 1997, Biggie attends a Vibe magazine party in LA, and he leaves the event, a car pulls up next to him, and the shooter fires multiple shots, and Biggie is killed instantly. Another unsolved murder. Multiple lawsuits filed by Biggie's estate have alleged that LAPD officers were connected to the killing. In particular, corrupt officers on death row's payroll, allegedly, according to lawsuits filed in federal court. So evidence presented in lawsuits has included allegations of rogue LAPD cops moonlighting for Suge Knight, claims key evidence disappeared, witnesses weren't interviewed, police interference, missing files. Again, none of this resulted in a conviction, but it is part of the official public record. And then here's where Diddy enters the story again. Now, people have long argued that Diddy should have done more to protect Biggie, but Biggie didn't feel safe in LA. Tensions were still high. Suge Knight was openly threatening people. The murder seemed retaliation themed, and yet they were in LA doing industry events because Diddy, quote unquote, wanted to have a party on their turf. What a loser. But Diddy has always insisted that he loved Biggie and protected him and was devastated by his loss. But I don't think so, my guy, because you seem awfully suspicious. Now, here's some theories that shaped hip-hop history. All alleged, all unproven. And this is in regards to the murders, by the way. So, theory 1 is Suge Knight retaliation. So this is the most widely believed scenario among investigators. Suge Knight allegedly ordered a hit in the retaliation for Tupac. Court documents have explored this theory extensively, but it was unproven. The next one is LAPD corruption, which I just talked about. But multiple lawsuits allege that corrupt LAPD officers who were connected to death row may have been involved. The next one is East Coast versus West Coast escalation, a tragic escalation of industry politics and ego for sure. Also, speaking of that East Coast, West Coast thing, I was little. Okay, again, I was born in 88 and I was 10, maybe a little younger. But anyway, when I was little, I thought that because I lived on the East Coast, I could never visit the West Coast because the East Coast was at war with the West, and they would know for sure that I was from the East Coast if I ever went there. So that's what I thought that whole East Coast, West Coast thing was between Biggie and Tupac. Growing up, I thought they had just did it to each other. It was the East Coast that got Tupac and the West Coast that got Biggie is, what I thought. When I was young and then never wanted to visit California. But anyway, so another theory is that Biggie was planning to leave Bad Boy, and I so agree with this one for sure, because I think that's why Biggie was murdered by Diddy, allegedly, because he was going to leave Bad Boy Records, and Diddy can't have that. But anyway, so fans have speculated that Biggie was preparing to shift in a new musical direction, possibly restructure contracts or even move independently. The next theory is government involvement. So there are people who theorize that the US government monitored both artists due to their political influence. Now, there is zero evidence for this whatsoever, but it lives on in books, documentaries, and Reddit threads at 3 a.m. And then the last theory is Bad Boy internal drama. So some believe Biggie was caught in something chaotic, behind the scenes, which is also probably it too. I have to say this, okay? Whether or not Diddy was involved in anything, again, no evidence links him to the murders of Tupac and Biggie. It did shape his career and his public persona, and the way the industry viewed him. And it shaped conspiracy theories that still circulate, and created an aura of untouchable power. But when that Cassie lawsuit dropped, people weren't like, oh, I can't believe this. They were like, everything is making sense now. But I think that Diddy was protected by power and wealth and NDAs and fear and celebrity influence and industry silence for decades. But like every system has a breaking point, obviously. But I don't think this is like the end of the story. I think it's like the beginning of the beginning for sure. And can I just say that that juror pissed me the hell off? She was like, the faces she was making was gross and I didn't like it. Like she was obsessed with Diddy. It was insane. Obviously, there's other people out there who are probably going to do a much better thing about this. A much better, I don't know, podcast or TikTok or story time or whatever the hell. But it is something I wanted to talk about. So I'm talking about it. But I definitely recommend you watch that new documentary, even though I'm sure like 99% of the world has so far. But if you're that 1%, go listen to it. But anyway, everything is alleged unless proven because everyone deserves due process. But also, I don't even know if the universe wanted me to do this episode. I was having so many technical difficulties in the beginning with like, first of all, my phone was being stupid and it looked like someone, you ever have someone like take control over your phone or computer when they need to like fix something or something like that? That's literally what my phone was doing. It was wild. My laptop, which I record on, was like not recognizing my face and saying, oh, we can't log you in. We can't log you in. And then my computer was being weird and my Word document would not open, but I did it anyway. But I don't even know what this episode is. It's not like, I guess, a real True Crime Tuesday episode because I didn't do the Docket of Dumb, which speaking of Docket of Dumb, I saw an article last week that a raccoon broke into a liquor store and like passed out because it was drunk. And I was like, that's such a good thing to say for Docket of Dumb because I can just like real quick, bing bong, bing bing bong. Anyway, my apologies for this episode. I had fun doing it though. I also want to tell you before I go that as soon as I'm done recording this, I am having some delicious dinner. I'm making chicken cutlets and mashed potatoes and some flame grilled veggies from Costco. And I am going to like devour these chicken cutlets. I'm going to make them so delicious and so good. Okay. They're yummy and delicious. And I love them. And I'm excited to eat them, which I'm going to do right now. Well, I got to make them first. But anyway, that concludes today's chaotic journey. But also, I want to remind that for the millionth time, everything in this episode is alleged. Everything comes from public record, lawsuits, interviews, or the documentary, and everyone deserves due process. But now that I got that out of the way, ignoring patterns does not erase them, and pretending coincidences aren't connected doesn't make them unconnected. And the fact that the internet came together like a true crime cult after the documentary dropped, society is tired. But everything is like still unfolding and like, I can't wait for new information to come out. I'm so excited. But thank you for hanging out with me today on True Crime Tuesday. Oh, also, how could I forget? Probably because as I'm recording this, it is not Tuesday. So that's how I forgot. Today is my daughter's 18th birthday. So happy birthday to my daughter. Shout out to those listening on Nighthawk Radio. And if you're listening on Apple and Spotify and everywhere else you listen to stuff, don't forget to rate, review, follow, share it with your friends, your coworkers, your neighbor, the lady at Wawa who always gives you extra napkins, and just spread the gossip, okay? Be like, hey, this girl's the coolest and the funniest, and listen to her podcast because I said so. Anyway, this song of the week is Pat Hat, Lying to Yourself. I know I played him last week, but I feel bad that he didn't get a second episode on Friday, so I'm going to play him again today because I can. Stay weird, stay curious, go be kind to someone for no reason, and go be amazing.
Like a footprint in the frost, so goddamn lost, always running in the night. Got a head full of voices, a taste for paradise. can blame it on your problems, but nothing's gonna solve them when you're drowning at the bottom. You can wallow, you can waste till you're blue in the face. You're lying to yourself. Yeah, you're lying to yourself. Always playing someone else. Yeah, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself. Yeah, you're lying to yourself. Always playing someone else. Yeah, you're lying to yourself.
To remind you that 60% of sales on Amazon come from independent sellers, here's John from Devil Dog Pet Company.
We run our family business from Sterling Heights, Michigan, but we can reach customers all over the country thanks to Amazon. Good boy.
Shop small business on Amazon.